So I just watched Rwby Volume 3 and it was really bad. And while Volume 1 and 2 weren't good at all, Volume 3 destroyed any chance the show could have had to redeem itself, and the show from that point on was screwed. While the writing is awful, the biggest issues Volume 1 and 2 had is that it didn't explore the characters properly, rushes everything, we don't know anything about the school the characters go to and what they do there, and all of those things brushed off to the side because they were more focused on this White Fang plot. Despite this being a show about teamwork, it doesn't focus on that aspect at all, especially since Team Rwby are supposed to be the main characters, yet they didn't develop their friendships at all and pretend like they had such great times together during all of the things they did off screen. Rwby Volume 3 is another one in the series of failed attempts in writing a good story. Nothing about it works, it's all very awkward and poorly thought out, and it managed to be worse than Volume 2. I'm amazed that this is a show where the quality drops after each new volume. So yeah, it's time to get into it. The volume starts with Rwby standing in front of her mom's gravestone, telling her about all the great fun they had off screen. Rwby even questions why Ospin let her into school this earlier.
I still wonder why Ospin let me into the school early. But, I guess he'll tell me one day.
I guess she never bothered asking, but we'll get to that later. This volume starts off during the tournament, which according to Rwby back in Volume 2 is at the end of the school year.
Look guys, it's been a good 2 weeks, and between more exchange students arriving and the tournament at the end of the year...
So, let me get this straight. We just skipped an entire school year where we got to learn jack about what the characters do there and how they build their relationships. Talk about a rushed story. Hey mom, I had such a great time at Beacon. We did all this cool stuff that the audience never got to see and we learned a lot. Okay, bye. Seriously? Here we see that the action in the show took a nosedive after Volume 2. And while Volume 1 and 2's action scenes weren't perfect, they were still fun to watch with great cinematography and some neat choreography. And my guess is the downgrade happened because of certain events that happened in real life. I haven't really gone into action scenes that much in the other reviews because I didn't really have that big of an issue with them. It was mainly the writing within the fight scenes that I had an issue with, and like one or two small things. But here it's pretty apparent. First off, Rwby is just swinging her scythe around at nothing, and then we cut to Blake fighting some Randy, and then we cut to Weiss just posing for the camera. I mean, Blake and Yang were at least fighting someone on screen, but Rwby and Weiss just do a bunch of spins at nothing.
And yes, Peter, I think it's safe to say this match may be one of the closest we've seen in the 4-on-4 round of the tournament.
For those of you just now joining us, welcome to the final festival tournament. If this is your first time watching, allow us to break down the rules.
I'm sorry, who welcomes and starts explaining the rules to a live broadcast while in the middle of a fight? Especially since Oobleck said this was one of the closest matches they've seen so far. Wouldn't you then keep the focus on the match and not stop to explain the rules again? Especially when there's people around watching it live? If you really wanted to welcome people to the tournament and explain the rules, why didn't you start the episode off from the beginning of the tournament and not right in the middle of a random battle? Like, this is such an easy fix to do. I get the volume is technically not a tournament arc really, but I mean, this is the thing they have been hyping us for ever since Volume 1.
A festival dedicated to the cultures of the world. There will be dances, parades, a tournament.
I mean, having a whole volume just be around having a tournament doesn't really seem like such a bad idea. It could have also helped us learning about the 50 characters you have. If My Hero Academia can do a tournament arc, then Rwby could have done this too. Hold up, annual? I thought this tournament was held every 2 years. What I find pretty weird in this fight is that the song in the background is a Weiss song. I didn't know it's a Weiss song until a friend pointed it out to me. But why? Isn't this about all of Team Rwby fighting? Why would you prioritize a Weiss song? It's as if they have no clue how to implement songs. So Yang fights this person, and this guy was apparently just standing there staring off into nothing.
Got your back!
Who's got yours?
Why would you give up the element of surprise by announcing that you're behind her? And why does Rwby not use her super speed to avoid the guy? And then Weiss comes out of nowhere and kicks this guy away. Where was she? Was she fighting that guy? I mean, he was just standing there doing nothing and Weiss was nowhere to be seen. Here we have those two stand there in front of the guy, and then Rwby and Weiss do some teleportation in the next shot, where Rwby is like all the way over there behind Weiss. What happened? Did her super speed kick in? Then Rwby tries to hit him and she fails, but then she just stands around not stopping the guy from taking a bit of the dust crystal and throwing it at his partner. Remember, Rwby has super speed. Just cause the writers forgot doesn't mean I did. Blake does this, which like, cool. But how was she fast enough to suddenly get in front of her to be able to kick her away? Does Blake also have super speed? I mean, she uses these shadow clones, yes, but so far they have only appeared for like a second before they disappeared. So I guess it's off-screen teleportation. This one has the time to go and break the ice boulder. Wasn't Yang chasing her like a second ago? Where did she go? Oh, she was just standing in front of Weiss, but she was chasing her like a second ago. And by the time she broke them out of the boulder, they could have moved away, but no, they're all just standing there and so that Yang can come in and punch them all. Jeez, what a mess. So they're all on the fairground getting something to eat, but then Weiss gets a call from her dad and she declines. And for some reason, Rwby was behind all of them, even though they all moved, and Weiss was the one who stood still for like a second. And this was done so that Rwby can get her wallet stolen by Emerald. But her and her team are also fighting in the tournament. I'm sorry, but I mentioned this last time. Can anyone just come into Beacon and pretend like they're a student from another kingdom without any confirmation? I mean, Neo wasn't even in Beacon in the last volume, but here she disguises herself as some Randy and gets in the tournament. And this broadcasted live, by the way. If a teacher from Haven saw this on TV or something, wouldn't they see this and question who they are, considering they said they're from Haven? I mean, there aren't any other teachers from Mistral and Vacuo at the tournament. It's just Ironwood who's there with his army of robots. So I'd have to assume they might be watching from there. Another problem is the fact that Blake is partaking in the tournament, which is really dumb, because this is being broadcast live, and if the White Fang would see her on television, they'd know where she is, which is really dumb for her to do, because the whole reason she's there was to run away from them. So why would she ever agree to participate in a tournament that's being broadcast live? Fact of the matter is also she put a target on her friends as well for the fact that they have helped her out and the White Fang know what they look like, yet no one seems to care. Anyways, Weiss is paying for their food because she feels like it, but her card gets declined and they all act like they can't pay for their own food. So Pyrrha comes in to help, despite the fact that with Yang's reaction that they were all planning on paying separately.
Aw, Weiss, what's the occasion?
Consider it thanks for sending me to the doubles round.
I mean, if anything, the guy takes away Blake's food because yes, I know, funny haha moment, but wouldn't he take away Weiss's bowl because she's the one who can't pay for her food? I mean, I don't know, it's just kind of strange. And they all eat together with Team Juniper. Wow guys, they're such great friends. And the episode ends off with Team Juniper ready to fight this other team. But hold on. Didn't Volume 2 have Pyrrha go 4v1 against Cardin's team to qualify for the tournament?
Well done, Miss Nikos. You should have no problem qualifying for the tournament.
But here, the whole team has to take part of it. I mean, sure, while Nora and Ren aren't as skilled as Pyrrha according to the show, I can buy them being able to fight 4v1, I guess. But I don't buy that Jean was able to fight 4v1, especially since he's not a skilled fighter. So why exactly is Jean taking part in the tournament? If they really wanted to have everyone participate in the tournament, then why have this whole qualification thing in Volume 2? Or are you telling me that Jean did beat everyone in a 4v1 match? Cause I'm not buying it. Great, another fight to complain about. This guy, after hearing that those two said she's charging up using her semblance, doesn't put his stick away for like no reason. And when Jean told Nora to go up the mountain, she jumped all the way up like very quickly, but now all of a sudden she's climbing slowly? If anything, why didn't you catapult yourself up like in Volume 1 with Pyrrha's help? Oh, it's so we can have this shot of Jean helping Pyrrha up so she can block her bullet with her shield. Crowbar? That's kind of funny. So finally we get to see Sun's whole team. Team SSSN?
Team Sun!
Okay, see now I can show some credibility. But hold up. Where exactly were they when Sun and Tyler Ninja were at Beacon? Reminder, they have been there for the second semester for like no reason. But we've only seen Sun and Tyler Ninja. Where were the other two? Were they in Haven? So wait, does Sun go to Haven? But wait, wasn't he from Vacuo?
I've heard heard that students visiting from Vacuo will be arriving by ship today.
So was he attending Shade Academy and then moved to Mistral to go to Haven Academy? If so, did he not have a team? Cause that's the first thing that you're being assigned to when arriving at the Huntsman School. What was he doing going from Vacuo all the way to Vale by boat? And why was he alone? Did Team SSSN not have a team leader? Cause by the time we got introduced to Tyler Ninja, it was the end of the first semester. And the other two were nowhere to be seen. So who were they teamed up with before Sun transferred to Haven? I don't understand.
What's wrong with Neptune?
Oh no. Neptune's afraid of the water.
What are you doing? Oh, just gain higher ground. On the enemy's side?
I mean, to be fair, I don't really see the issue of flanking your enemies from behind considering he has a gun. But whatever.
He's not wrong. Open fire!
Open fire, she says, despite none of them shooting guns. I'm sorry, what? Do you not remember that people can tank explosions and high falls with their aura? Did she really get knocked out by just a couple of hits from Sun? Or did she just forget to turn on her aura? That can't be the case cause it's being displayed here, so why did she go down this fast? Why does he get that reaction from the coconut hitting his crotch? I thought he has aura, which, reminder, is a force field. Or are you telling me that aura has certain weak spots? His aura didn't even go down to 0, so he shouldn't be having this reaction to begin with. This is a case of the show just not taking the rules into consideration for the sake of a cheap joke, when this isn't how it should work.
Now that was a match.
That was a mess.
I agree. Hey look, Sun is even winking and pointing at Blake, and Blake is all blushy over him. Wow, after 2 volumes of him flirting with Blake and being the one character that interacted the most with her and helped her out multiple times, even though he abandoned her mid-battle, there's a sense that she's finally into him, and I hope this loving relationship will be explored more in this and future volumes. So in this episode we get introduced to Winter, Wise's older sister who is a part of the military and arrived at Beacon for like some business.
Actually, in the very top ranking of our sparring class. The rest of my studies are going wonderfully too. Silence, you boob! I don't recall asking about your ranking.
I guess Wise's aura just went on vacation, unless she had her aura turned off. Seriously, why do the characters turn off their aura? At the same time, we also get introduced to Crow finally. Look guys, after 2 whole volumes, we finally see another huntsman that isn't a teacher from Beacon Academy. He's starting a beef with Winter for some reason.
And you, what are you doing here?
I could be asking you the same thing.
What do you mean? Ironwood was assigned by the council from Vale to make sure everyone stays safe during the Vital Festival. This is a tournament where people all over the kingdoms come together in one place, and with him having a huge army, it makes them ready for any incoming attack that might happen.
You sent me to get intel on our enemy, and I'm telling you, our enemy is here.
Where did Crow get this info? From who? From where? They're being very vague about this info, being like, oh, Crow is out doing field activities. It's like the show wants to be vague about things, but all they end up doing is making us ask more questions. Why is only Crow out gathering info? Are there no other huntsmen that you have on this job? The heck, man. Also, the reason Ironwood was in Vale was because of something Crow told them.
But if what Crow said is true, then...
If what Crow said is true, then we will handle it tactfully.
They never explained what that info was, but in this volume all he says is that the enemy is here. So then what exactly was this info he told them in volume 2? Again, where did Crow get this info? And how does he know it's a reliable source? The only way for him to know is if he knew what the enemies looked like, but he doesn't know. So like, what?
The people in this room, the leaders of the other 2 academies, we're the ones that keep the world safe from the evils no one even knows about. It's why we meet behind closed doors, why we work in the shadows. So you tell me, James, when you brought your army to Vale, did you think you were being discreet, or did you just not give a damn?
Crow, are you stupid? There have been terrorist attacks going on, with them stealing dust everywhere for unknown reasons. Plus there was a person that broke into school and attacked the guards. This is a festival where people all over the kingdoms come together in one place. If there were unverse attacks happening or any other terrorist attacks, then they should be ready for it. He was assigned by the council to keep the people safe during the tournament.
I'm here because this is what was necessary.
You're here because Ozpin wanted you here. He made you a part of this inner circle and opened your eyes to the real fight that's in front of us.
No, he's here because he was assigned by the council as head of security for the festival. I mean, considering that there haven't been any huntsmen around to protect the people in Vale up to that point, having an army here to be ready for attacks isn't a bad thing. They try so hard to make Ironwood seem like he's in the wrong, when all he has done so far is make logical decisions. By the way, if you have wondered why I have been calling the Grim unversed up to this point, this is why.
And fear will bring the grim.
It's on the tip of my tongue. I remember the king told us something about negative emotions.
Unversed?
Oh yeah, them!
Unversed?
A guardian is a symbol of comfort, but an army is a symbol of conflict.
Ozpin, you don't get to say this crap when you are first off training a bunch of teens to become strong fighters for 4 years, but also you have done absolutely nothing against the White Fang attacks in the previous volume. Not only did you think the best idea was to bring a bunch of first year students there, but also during the final battle there weren't any other huntsmen anywhere. Heck, there aren't even any huntsmen at the festival, so what exactly is your excuse? Ironwood put a scroll on the table and after removing it, it gave Cinder another point of access. You know, why did Ironwood never even consider that they might have been hacked, seeing as though she snuck inside a computer room? The fact that Mr. Paranoid Man never even considered it is pretty weird. I mean, why else would she be there if not for something related to the computers? And Ironwood never even thought of that possibility?
A guardian is a symbol of comfort, but an army is a symbol of conflict.
Why would the people be feared over having an army around that makes sure to avoid conflicts to begin with? If anything, the people should feel safe. It also shows that Atlas cares for the people in Vale. So tell me, Sho, what exactly is the issue of Ironwood bringing his army after everything that has happened up to this point? Cause there is none.
If this is the size of our defenses, what is it we're expecting to fight?
Unversed? The White Fang? Hello? Also, keep this line in mind because it will be important for later on. Also, what is Cinder wearing? She taped her chest? Hold up, why did she tape her waist?
Love the outfit, kid.
I'll try not to get blood on it.
I can't promise you'll leave without a scratch.
You know, it's really weird that they're threatening to hurt each other despite the fact that they would be disqualified if they hurt someone after they run out of aura. So Coco gets pulled in the forest area where she sees Yatsuhashi, but then it turns out that it isn't the real Yatsuhashi, oh no, and they lost the battle. Why did Emerald even make a Yatsuhashi clone if she can turn invisible?
You're leaving?
Yes. I was merely needed to oversee the transport of additional units to Vale.
I'm sorry, I thought this info was classified.
What are you doing here?
Classified.
Oh, right. Well, how long are you staying?
Classified. Our last shipment was lost to an ambush. I believe you had a run-in with its cargo, actually. It's fortunate those paladins were still in the prototype stage. Otherwise, your team may not have fared so well.
And they just so happened to not do anything about it. Also, shipment? Why were they shipping a prototype to Vale? For who? And for what? She's talking about the same mech Torchsick stole from them somehow. How bad is Ironwood's defenses that they can easily be ambushed by a bunch of White Fang goons? I thought this guy was paranoid. Also, was Winter not asked to oversee the previous shipment? So she went to Vale to oversee the current units but not the previous ones? If Winter was there, she would have encountered the White Fang and have gone after them. This makes no sense.
It's fortunate those paladins were still in the prototype stage. Otherwise, your team may not have fared so well.
What about all the people it killed on the highway? Also, if the mech can be easily taken down by 4 first-year students, then you're doing something wrong here. Even if it's in its prototype stage. Cause the point of these mechs are to fight high-level unversed.
Then what do you think you've learned? What do you mean? I'm getting better and better with my glyphs. I'm even
your summoning.
You know I can't.
Don't be ridiculous. Every Schnee has the ability to summon.
What?
We have for generation.
What? For generations?
We Schnees are unique. Unlike many, our semblance is hereditary.
Are you forgetting that every person has a unique semblance? And now all of a sudden it's a hereditary thing? Semblances used to be special because everyone has their own superpower. That's what made them unique. And now you're basically just cheating by making Weiss's a hereditary semblance exclusive to only the Schnee family? Why? Could you not have given Winter her own semblance?
We Schnees are unique.
I don't think you know what unique means. Also, why would you give Weiss the ability to also summon a monster when she already has all this other stuff that she can do with her glyphs? And she's the one character that utilizes dust the most. Why did they feel the need to give Weiss also the ability to summon? She already does a lot with the abilities that she has. It's just a poor excuse to give Weiss a new ability.
You really think 4 girls and their friends can end all crime in the kingdom? Violence hasn't dropped since Roman got nabbed. It's stopped. Completely. No White Fang activity anywhere around the city.
Sure, you stop one guy and crime all over the kingdom has just stopped. By the way, I'm confused. Crow is a teacher at Signal Academy, yet at the same time he goes out doing huntsman missions that might take a very long time?
Hey, so what are you doing here anyway? I thought Dad said you'd be away on a mission for like, ever.
How can he be a teacher when he's constantly out there on missions? That doesn't seem plausible.
You cut off the head of a King Taijitu, but now the second head's calling the shots. That's what Ironwood can't get through that thick metal head of his.
What's with all the Ironwood slander? Why do you think he has mechs everywhere? He knows the fight isn't over and that there is a bigger threat just waiting to happen. Of course security would be increased after they suffered an adverse invasion, which is why he was asked by the council to be the head of security. Stop trying to make it seem like Ironwood is doing something bad here when he's really not. This is a world filled with monsters. So next episode we finally get to see Penny in action during the tournament. But hold up, it's only her and CL. Who were her other teammates? You know, you can't compete in the tournament if you're not in a group of 4. Kinda strange considering she hasn't really interacted with anyone outside of Rwby.
I want to stay at Beacon. Penny, they'll never let you do that. I know, but I have a plan.
And we never get to know what that plan was. On that note, I wonder something. Why was Penny in Vale ever since Volume 1? They didn't want her wandering around and talking to people, and she does nothing for the military for like both volumes. And now she's taking part in the tournament? If they wanted her to interact with people, then she could have done it in Atlas with the other students. And also the tournament's arena is being picked randomly. And if by chance it picks the water place, why would Ironwood risk Penny getting near any water? It would just mess her up. Why is she in this tournament to begin with? Also, remember the whole racism subplot in the previous volume? Yeah, there is absolutely no racism happening in this volume as well. I mean, all the faunus with their non-textured ears get to watch the tournament and no one is doing anything wrong. It's been 3 whole volumes and the whole racism angle is nowhere to be seen really. If anything, the people are more racist towards Weiss's family than the faunus. So here's the next fight, with Weiss and Yang against those two. Yang is busy fighting Neo, while Weiss is busy fighting Flint. Why don't you go around him instead of going straight ahead when he's firing his weapon? Especially since you do this later on in the fight. Kinda weird. Then this guy uses his semblance and directs it straight in front of him, and then Weiss just stops attacking from all directions. Why did he not use his semblance to shoot from multiple directions? And afterwards he stops focusing on Weiss and aims at Yang? Hello? Why? Weiss is still here. He put his foot on the weapon and now he puts his foot away, so her weapon should still be there. But no, I guess. This was done so Weiss sacrifices herself for Yang, which is the stupidest way you could have done this. Also, how did Neo deplete her aura when she didn't get hit once? This was done so that Yang can one-shot her with an explosion. Either the writers forgot their aura can tank explosions, or they just depleted her aura off-screen for this convenience.
You know, he's making you look like a fool.
His heart is in the right place. He's just misguided.
Sometimes I'm not even sure he has a heart.
Again with the Ironwood slander. You guys are jerks. Yes, I'm sure Ironwood doesn't have a heart despite the fact that he cares about the safety of the people in Remnant and built the robots to remove people from the battlefield. But yeah, he doesn't have a heart, I guess. So this is where we get introduced to the Maidens. There are 4 young women who have been given the power of the 4 seasons by an old man, and Ospen suggests that it would be a good idea for Pyrrha to be the next Maiden. The Maidens is a popular fairy tale that Pyrrha knows about, but Ospen tells her that the story is true.
What if I were to tell you that there were 4 maidens existing in this world that could wield such tremendous power without dust?
You mean like a semblance?
Like magic.
I'm sorry, are you implying that magic is something entirely different from semblance and dust? That makes no sense, considering that dust gives you the ability to do crazy spells and that semblances also give you a special ability that you can do. What exactly would be the difference? How is magic any special in comparison to everything else the characters can do in the show with their semblances and dust? If anything, they're all magic. In my eyes, dust is kinda similar to materia from Final Fantasy, where the materia gives you the ability to cast spells like fire, ice or lightning and other stuff. But even Final Fantasy doesn't pretend like materia is different from magic, because what you do in the game is magic. This is such a bizarre thing to introduce in a show that already has characters casting spells using a special item and have crazy abilities exclusive to themselves. Semblances is not an ability that everyone in Remnant has.
We are telling you, Pyrrha Nikos, because we believe that you are next in line to receive the Fall Maiden's powers.
We are the protectors of this world,
and we need your help.
Really? So out of all the people you could have chosen, you chose a first year student that isn't a huntress yet and isn't fully experienced? Yes, Pyrrha is strong, but she's a first year, which means she's not a fully developed huntress yet. And out of all the huntresses that exist, you chose Pyrrha? You cannot be serious. Are there no young huntresses in Vale? Especially since there would likely be students who graduated? If the whole Maiden thing is so important, why does Ospen not have any young women on his team? He would likely take an interest in hiring a few, especially since the whole thing is that important according to them. Out of all the people, you chose Pyrrha? You cannot be serious. How stupid are you? You had a long time to prepare for everything, yet you didn't. Heck, Winter was in Vale. She's young and more experienced than Pyrrha. She was right there, and she's Ironwood's subordinate. Why didn't they ask Winter to become the Maiden? This is like such a crappy way to keep her safe. And why aren't there any doctors or scientists doing research and making sure that she stays intact? Especially since you guys don't seem to know what will happen once you pass on the power to Pyrrha. Also, if your point is that an army causes conflict and a guardian is a symbol of comfort.
A guardian is a symbol of comfort, but an army is a symbol of conflict.
What kind of comfort is that the so-called guardian can shoot down lightning to obliterate her enemies? Also, what kind of comfort is that when no one knows about the Maidens?
If we're truly on the brink of war, why not tell everyone?
From what we understand, it used to be common knowledge.
Excuse me?
How do you think legends and fairy tales get started? Even the craziest ones come from somewhere.
I'm sorry, but how does something that was supposedly common knowledge get turned into a fairy tale? Something that is common knowledge doesn't suddenly end up forgotten. How many years ago would that have even been? History doesn't suddenly become unknown to be then transformed into a fairy tale. That's like if I take someone from the real world and turn them into a fairy tale. What could Ospen have possibly done to cover up the Maidens? Or do humans in Remnant have really bad memory? And even so, if you want the Maidens to not be known, what exactly is she gonna do to your current situation? If she goes out there solving your problems, then everyone would see her. So your whole plan of her not being common knowledge is just thrown out the window. This is just ridiculous.
But I'm afraid it's not that simple. Given Amber's condition, you won't be able to inherit her power naturally.
For the past few years, Atlas has been studying Aura from a more scientific standpoint. How it works, what it's made of, how it can be used. And we believe we found a way to capture it.
But desperate times call for desperate measures.
And these are indeed desperate times. We can't transfer Amber's power to you, but we can give you what those powers are bound to.
What?
Her aura.
What?
Her life would become intertwined with yours. The question is,
What's that gonna do to you?
What? Are you forgetting that aura is just a force field that can use semblance and not the soul itself? They literally stated it's a manifestation of the soul and not the literal soul itself.
Aura is the manifestation of our soul.
Did you forget that? This is not only a problem in this volume, but later volumes also just start pretending like aura is the soul itself, which is not what they established at all. If aura really was the soul, then this wouldn't make sense at all, cause people can break their aura, and if aura is the soul, then they would die, which is not what happens in the show. And the show established that you can turn your aura on and off. So what, I just turn off my soul? So aura and the soul would be two separate things. Also, this makes absolutely no sense, cause once your aura is broken, you can still use the Maiden powers, so the powers wouldn't be bound to her aura at all. So this whole scene makes absolutely no sense at all. Man, if only Osman prepared for this beforehand and doesn't randomly put this burden on an inexperienced first year student. This is so stupid. So now we're on the finalists with 1v1 matches, with Yang and Mercury being up first. I like how the finals are first year students and kids who never even attended school before. The fight isn't really that bad. I guess the animators are better suited for making 1v1 fights instead of multiple people at once, which is kinda bizarre because the whole show is about teamwork. This is also where the show introduces this shimmering that happens when someone breaks their aura. Why? Why would you introduce such a thing this late into the show? This messes up the previous volumes, cause there were multiple instances where they made it seem like the characters were in trouble, but they didn't shimmer at all, cause the whole thing was relied upon the whole health bar thing, which is why Glinda told Jean to make sure to look at his scroll to check on his health bar. Introducing a new mechanic like aura break shimmer this late into the show is not something you should do at all, cause you have to take the previous volumes into consideration. This aura shimmer thing is a retcon. So I guess Yang wasn't in trouble in this scene. I guess Weiss wasn't in trouble in this scene. What about Cardin? What about when Blake was able to knock out Torchsick? Did his aura not break? You should have thought about these things before the show even began. Also, by the way, Yang broke his aura and then punched him again, which apparently did no damage to him. His jaw should be broken, which is also bizarre because right after, Yang gets disqualified because she saw Mercury attack her first and punched his leg, but then it turns out, oh no, he didn't actually. Emerald played mind tricks on her. So the next episode is about a backstory and how Cinder met Emerald and Mercury and went to go hire the White Fang and then taking on the Maiden. Why? Why do we need an entire episode on all of the things we already know? Fun fact, when I first watched the show, I skipped this episode because I thought I wasn't gonna miss much, aside from some plot holes. And I was correct. You don't really miss much from watching this episode. The only thing it creates is more plot holes. The only time the episode is relevant is near the end, where we switch back to the present to see what the aftermath of the whole thing was. Now you're probably asking me, Pyrrha, how can this episode be irrelevant? Okay, let's go over everything. Cinder meets Emerald and Mercury. Okay, they don't really develop their relationship or anything. They just both decide to follow her. Cinder made a deal with the White Fang. Okay, we knew that already. It's not like they developed this aspect in any way. She just threatened them to help her. They fight off the Maiden and Cinder is her attacker. We knew that already from the previous episode after the editing implied that she was the one who attacked her. And that's about it. Wow, what a waste of time. This also brings in a big plot hole. So this flashback implies that this has happened before the Black trailer, and I wondered when exactly this flashback takes place. And from what I looked up online, apparently according to the crew's commentary, this takes place 6 months before Volume 1 began. But in Volume 1, Blake said she wasn't part of the White Fang ever since she was younger.
You don't care?
You said you're not one of them anymore, right?
No, I haven't been since I was younger.
I don't want to hear it.
But 6 months is barely anything. You would think younger would mean like a few years ago. So what, she lied to Wise? Do you guys not realize the problems you created here? So Ospen knew about Amber ever since before the first volume even began, yet he made no plans on preparing himself in case she would die at any point, and since you knew about the whole thing that happened in volume 2, you cannot be serious. So here we have Emerald confronting Amber, and she uses her semblance to make it look like there's a girl in front of her. By the way, remember when Pyrrha said this?
Have you ever felt like you were being watched without knowing that someone was there?
Yeah.
Yet she couldn't sense Emerald, Mercury and Cinder, especially with Emerald standing right in front of her. By the way, apparently the idea of maidens were thought up when they were making volume 3. Not only was this a stupid decision to include them, but also since maidens weren't planned from the beginning, that just kinda leaves the question on what exactly was Cinder's plan before volume 3. They were stealing all the dust in the kingdom, which is never used ever. And then what? Maybe you should have thought about it before adding in stupid things. Also, how did Cinder even know that Amber is the maiden? They attack her and Emerald stomped on her. Why did she get off? Why doesn't she just repeatedly beat her up? Wait, so she controls every season? If that's the case, then what's the point of having 4 women be maidens? I mean, she is called the Fall Maiden, yet she can control other things as well? Why is she specifically called the Fall Maiden? She could control every season. Wait, so she created glass from dirt? That's not how glass works. And by that note, I'm so confused as to what exactly Cinder's abilities are. So, according from what I saw online, she like heats up objects in order to manipulate their shapes. That's what she can do? I simply just assumed she can manipulate fire, seeing as how much she used fire in volume 1. But then volume 2 introduces the fact that she can just create black glass out of nowhere using fire? How does that work? But then this episode is like she can do this telekinesis thing? Even though telekinesis is Glinda's ability? I'm sorry, why are you just cheating with the things Cinder can do? Just have her simply use fire like in volume 1, it's not that difficult. We don't need this glass and telekinesis thing she can do. She already had a device that uses dust that can shoot icicles. Why did you feel the need to do this? Where did her shield go? So then afterwards they broke her aura and she's like, oh no, and then she uses her maiden powers to knock them all down. Amber, shoot lightning. Amber, shoot lightning. Amber, shoot lightning. Amber, shoot lightning. Are you kidding me? Why didn't you just shoot down lightning on all 3 of them and kill them like that? By the way, this is our first introduction to those powerful maidens, and yet she gets beaten by those guys? You cannot be serious. So she uses this unversed thing to steal her powers, but then Crow comes in to save her. After the Adam scene, we cut back to the tournament where the assault happened. So what was the whole point of this whole backstory? We didn't learn anything new, and all it did is just bring in more plot holes and further damages this broken character. How did these paramedics not feel Mercury's metal leg when they put him on the thing? If you touched his leg, then they would feel that it's made of metal and the whole plan would be for nothing. But it's okay, the baddies just so happen to steal an ambulance, cause apparently everything is so easy to steal in this universe. And over this one single accident, there's now mass-wide fear spread everywhere, so big that it attracts unversed. Seriously? An assault during the tournament where people beat each other up, where one student just so happened to be out of line, and that's enough to cause panic? If I saw that, I wouldn't panic. I would be mad at her for doing this. If that's all it takes for people to panic, then why didn't people panic when there was a mech battle at a highway that killed like 20 people?
I'm sorry, but you left us with no choice.
But he attacked me!
Video footage and millions of viewers say otherwise.
But Yang would never do that!
Yeah,
You know, it's kinda weird how none of them considered that Yang might be crazy, considering the fact that she claims to have seen something that wasn't really there, with video evidence suggesting otherwise and other aspects, like her going around assaulting people at a nightclub. Also, it's kinda weird how Y sides with Yang and Rwby, considering she's supposed to be the bossy mean girl. I would have expected her to lash out on Yang and tell Rwby that her sister was acting out of line. But oh, that's right, Volume 2 assassinated her character. It's been 2 volumes and the characters never got to develop their relationships properly. The only conflict we had between the characters was Weiss being mad at Rwby for acting like a child, but this was then solved after one conversation with her teacher. Also, isn't it weird how Team Rwby had almost nothing to do with the plot going on in this volume? Their show is called Rwby and the titular characters barely get anything to do at all unless the plot actually needs them to do something very specific. But you know, despite all that, Ironwood still empathizes with Yang. His points sound fairly reasonable.
You all seem like good students, and the staff here at Beacon are fully aware that you would never lash out the way you did. What I believe, and hope this to be, is nothing more than the result of stress and adrenaline. When you're out on the battlefield, your judgment can become clouded in an instant. Sometimes you see things that simply aren't there, even after the fight is past.
And with that, Yang is disqualified from the tournament over what she did.
Whether it was an accident or an assault, it doesn't matter. The world saw you attack an innocent student. They've already drawn their own conclusions. And it's my job to inform you that you're disqualified.
And the only one who's kinda suspicious over Yang is Blake. And I thought, oh wow, are we actually gonna have some conflict between these characters? And it's like pretty fair for Blake to assume there might be something off with Yang. I mean, we literally have video footage of something bad happening and the others just easily believe her. I mean, I can buy Rwby believing in Yang cause she's her sister and she's probably used to her shenanigans. And also she's naive. But Weiss and Blake don't know Yang as well as Rwby does.
You're hot-headed, but not ruthless.
I'm sorry, how well do you know Yang? When has Yang ever shown any convictions not wanting to beat people too hard? I mean, she used a bullet explosion and punched that guy in the face in volume 2. I guess it has to be some of that off-screen magic.
You're hot-headed, but not ruthless.
I mean, heck, how well do we know Yang, considering they didn't develop any of these characters?
I want to believe you. Blake, I had someone very dear to me change. It wasn't in an instant, it was gradual. Little choices that began to pile up. At first they were accidents, then it was self-defense. This is all just very familiar, but you're not him. And you've never done anything like this before.
Didn't you literally say it was gradual? What if the same thing is happening to Yang here and she's just making excuses? I guess all it takes is just Yang telling her that she's telling the truth and all is forgiven, I guess.
But first, I need you to look me in the eyes and tell me that he attacked you. I need you to promise me that you regret having to do what you did. I saw him attack me, so I attacked back. Okay? Thank you.
You literally just said it slowly developed over time. What is this comparison? She's being very vague on what she means. Is Yang supposed to feel better that you compared her to your ex-boyfriend? Wouldn't that be kinda scary for Yang? Like, what is Yang supposed to get from what you just said? That she'll end up like a psychopath? Like, wow, thanks Blake. As if Team Rwby's relationship isn't stale enough already. You know, we can't have these characters act in any negative light that could challenge their development. That would just make them look like bad guys. Weiss is racist? No, she isn't. We removed that from her. Wow, she sure grew as a character. And they all leave the room cause the next scene is about to start. And that's about it for Team Rwby for now. Also, what a strange tonal shift. Like, we go from Yang being all sad and questioning what happened to rant at Nora's shenanigans. And surprise, surprise, they don't do anything this volume either. We have gone through 3 volumes where Ren and Nora do absolutely nothing that is relevant to the story, or any way they could develop their characters. Literally, why should I care about them? So anyways, Crow comes in to talk to Yang about what just happened.
And here I thought your dark-haired friend was the emo one.
How well do you know Blake to be saying that? So Yang mentions her seeing her mom when she got attacked on the train. By the way, I haven't mentioned this previously, but Volume 2's post-credit had a scene of Yang meeting Black Yang and they retconned that scene. Why? apparently Monty put in that scene because he was setting something up, but apparently he never told the others what that setup was, so they had to scrap that whole thing. I don't know if that's true, this is just something I read online, but like, why would you set something up and not tell your co-workers what the setup was? And you know, instead of coming up with something, they instead decided to scrap the entire scene, making the whole thing completely pointless. Oh sure, we couldn't have had Yang meet her mom, but we definitely needed to bring in the Maidens. You cannot be serious. Another thing I read is that apparently that whole thing was a dream, so it doesn't retcon anything. For what? What's the point of having a dream sequence as a post-credit anyways, if you're not gonna do anything with it at all? Why did they not just make something for that setup? Imagine getting hyped for something you purposely set up and then the next thing that comes out doesn't deliver. So after this we cut to Pyrrha sitting there being all sad over what to do because Ospen is such an idiot. Oh hey, I totally forgot Jean existed. So Jean sits next to Pyrrha and wants to help her because she looks like she had something on her mind. And it's like very emotional scene because she puts her head on his shoulder. Who cares? So she talks to Jean about destiny and how it messes up with her plans. Need I remind you that Pyrrha has been a Mary Sue for 2 whole volumes. There's nothing interesting about her. And now all of a sudden I'm supposed to care that her entire world could potentially be shattered? This whole thing doesn't work because like I said before, if only Ospen has prepared for this sooner and asked anyone other than a first year student, then this whole stupid thing wouldn't have happened to begin with.
I've always felt as though I was destined to become a huntress, to protect the world.
I guess that's all we're gonna get with Pyrrha's character. She wants to become a huntress, you know, just like every other character in the series. Then John says something she didn't like and then she pushes him away using her semblance and then she's like, I'm sorry, and leaves. Very emotional scene, guys. So next we cut to Rwby and she notices Velvet taking pictures with her camera. She talks about how Coco could have sworn that she saw Yatsuhashi in the forest but he wasn't there, and Rwby is suspicious about that. She goes to the arena but noticed that Emerald is there. I'm sorry, but didn't you previously say this?
I heard Mercury and his team rush back to Haven to be with his family. So until they land, no one can really question him about what happened.
If the others are meant to buy into the lie that Mercury and his team went back to Haven, then why is Emerald just sitting out in the open during the tournament and doesn't do any effort in at least disguising herself? How fortunate that no one else recognized Emerald. If someone spotted her and started talking to her, it would mess up her concentration and attention would be drawn to her. She was literally the girl who ran up to him when he got attacked. So she decides to leave the arena because she's looking for something, I guess. And then Mercury shows up out of nowhere because apparently he knew Rwby was gonna walk past this area. I'm sorry, wasn't he ordered by Cinder to stay low?
You get to lay low until the end. We wouldn't want people to see you on your feet and have this all be for naught now, would we?
So why is he up and walking around for no reason? What did he expect Rwby would discover here? Or maybe he just so happened to walk in from the exit and just so happened to bump into Rwby? Why though? Why are you walking around? She literally told you to lay low. If you wouldn't, then your entire plan would fail. It's not like he argued with Cinder about laying low for a while. Why are you so stupid? So Pyrrha will fight Penny and Rwby puts 2 and 2 together and realizes they want to kill Penny. Rwby, are you kidding me? The characters with super speed can't get past the dude? Why did you super speed in front of Mercury and not escape from the side? You can't just keep nerfing your character that has super speed in such dumb ways. Rwby, why are you grabbing your phone, taking your eyes away from your opponent? Something that I forgot to mention in volume 2 is how dumb it is that Rwby can't fight in hand-to-hand combat. Like, are you telling me she never learned how to fight hand-to-hand hand in a combat school? What if she ends up in a situation where she can use her weapon? Like right here? What if her weapon malfunctions? I mean, we have clearly seen that Ren was able to take down an Unversed with his bare hands. So why can't Rwby do the same? Maybe she should have stayed at Signal Academy for 2 more years. Also, what exactly is Ruby's plan here? She just realized last episode that they want Pyrrha to kill Penny with her semblance. So why don't you just run back to the stadium and attempt to stop the fight? It would also benefit Rwby being in a crowded area where Mercury can't do anything. Also, her goal was to go past the Mercury so she could get back to the arena? I'm sorry, didn't you just come from there, from the red door? Why are you attempting to go past Mercury just to go back to the arena? Why didn't you just use the door behind you? Are you stupid? And she runs in normal speed again? Are you stupid? I'm sorry, I thought you were trying to hide your semblance from the public.
She doesn't broadcast her powers, so it puts her opponents at a disadvantage.
So much for not broadcasting your powers. So Emerald is playing mind tricks on Pyrrha and then she uses her super blast thing and accidentally kills Penny with it. Why are her strings even going around her body? Shouldn't it be flinging her back? Why is this even happening? Did Penny lose her aura? How? Whatever. And everyone is panicking. Oh no, the Unversed are approaching. Hold up. It's the same door she came from. Why were you running past Mercury? Both doors lead back to the arena.
This was not an accident. One nation's attempt at a synthetic army, mercilessly torn apart by another star pupil.
Mercilessly, everyone in the audience can clearly see that Pyrrha was freaking out and unleashed a powerful move. Yang punching Mercury's leg not being an accident makes more sense than what Pyrrha did.
What need would Atlas have for a soldier disguised as an innocent little girl? I don't think the Grim can tell the difference.
I'm sorry, how is that any different from children being made to huntsmen? Also, isn't that like better? Like not having children fight off against Unversed? Yeah, what need to have an army of robots as opposed to children being trained to become huntsmen? It's worse by the fact that there are students cowering in fear in the finale. So now Beacon is under attack and everyone is running away. How did that bird get up there? Wasn't there like a whole fleet? Did none of them see the Unversed flying up there and decide to shoot it?
The girl, I can explain.
You brought your army to my kingdom, James. Use it.
Oh wow, doesn't seem like such a bad thing now, huh, Oz? Literally just F off. Neo was even able to take down these soldiers and freeze Torchsick. That easy? In a world filled with advanced technology and shield defenses, the airships don't have any shields? You cannot be serious. Also, hold up, why did they leave Torchsick on this airship instead of transporting him to prison? It has been like what, a few weeks before the festival? Oh no, even the White Fang are here. What a disaster this episode was. Why are you two idiots just standing there doing nothing? The Unversed are currently attacking innocent people. The point of being a huntress is to protect the people from the Unversed, right? So why are you not doing anything? Sure, let's not worry about that right now and call Yang to ask if she's okay. I'm amazed the Unversed don't attack them at all during that time.
This can't be happening.
Guys? Hello? People in trouble? Wanna help? Guys, are you kidding me? Look around you. People are running away and Unversed are everywhere. How about you do your job here and go to the docks afterwards? So Patty is dead and I don't care at all. So everyone beats the bird with their lockers and they all ready up, which is all well and good. But here's the exact same issues that Volume 2 had. No huntsmen ever showed up. We never saw any of them fighting Unversed outside. It's just the students, the teachers we already know, and Ironwood's robots. You cannot be serious. Why do you keep pretending like huntsmen don't exist? They should have been here by now, especially when they called them previously because Unversed were closing in.
Despite Atlas reinforcements, local authorities are still calling on any available huntsmen to aid in suppressing the spike in grim activity.
Are you kidding me? The robots who are meant to fight off Unversed are weak and don't do any damage. This is just an excuse so Ironwood can be all badass and cool and take on an Unversed with his handgun. So Torchsick was able to hack all of Ironwood's mechs by putting the scroll inside the thingy. They sure can't aim for anything. No. No, no. You mean to tell me that the whole time she could fly using her semblance? Man, could have been useful when the ground was breaking in Volume 2. All her semblance was able to do was make her move fast from the ground. You can't just introduce such a mechanic suddenly, cause that's not something you have shown Rwby being able to do previously. Heck, you showed off another way she could avoid herself from getting fall damage later on. So why didn't you just have her land on the ship and do the gun thing? There are instances where she could have just used her semblance to save herself from falling. So Ice and Blake split up and oh no, it's Adam. I love how they show all this, but there's no huntsman in sight. It's astounding how the show just forgets that huntsmen exist. And from all this chaos, this dragon thingy wakes up and goes to Beacon. So we cut to Blake and Adam and Blake is about to fight him. And then we cut to the others fighting the mech thing.
Well, I guess now's a better time than any. Velvet! Really? Just make them count.
So Velvet needs Coco's approval in order for her to use her weapon? I'm sorry, this is an Unversed invasion. Velvet should have pulled out her weapon when it began. So we finally get to know what Velvet's weapon was that they were keeping a secret from us in Volume 2. And it's the stupidest thing ever. So, here's what her weapon does. Are you ready? She copies the weapons of other people one-to-one and performs a bunch of reused animations. Yep, she can copy someone's weapon and use it without any issues. She just knows how to use every single weapon that she copies. You cannot be serious. All this build up for this? She can even copy Penny's laser and use it no problem? But hold up, I recalled Coco saying that she had to build it up all semester.
Hey, come on, you spent all semester building that up.
So does that mean her weapon copies are a single use? And her constantly switching them around, wouldn't that mean she'd run out every single time? How stupid of a weapon is that not only has limited use, but you have to take pictures of them every single time? And on top of that, how does she know how every single weapon even works? This is such a stupid design. Reminder that everyone designs their own weapons at the academy. So Rwby is fighting Neo and Torchwick. Oh, so she can tank explosions to her face again? Gotta love how inconsistent Aura is in this show, that sometimes you can tank certain hits but other times you can't. You cannot be serious. Oh no, if only I had a semblance that can help me fly up there or something. Or how about you just pull yourself up since you had more than enough time to do that?
We will stop them, and I will stop you. Then I'm dead!
Why did you just abandon your scythe and decide to fight Torchwick with your hands? You know you can't fight hand to hand, so why would you leave your scythe behind?
Steal, cheat, and survive!
And there goes the only decent villain of the whole show. And I mean the whole show. So Ironwood's ship is destroyed and all the robots shut down. And Yang finally meets up with the others. Where the heck has she been the whole time? Whatever, who cares. So she goes off to find Blake and then we cut to Osmond and the other two.
It's a type of vault.
What would this school need to hide?
I mean, the point of a vault is to keep something safe, not hide, but whatever. So they're transferring Amber's aura or soul or wait, hold up. I'm confused at this point. And he asks Jean to stand guard, and Pyrrha decides she's gonna do it. So Adam is like, I'm gonna destroy everything you love, and Yang just so happened to be there calling for Blake. And that gives Adam the great idea to go and kill Yang. Then we cut back to Aspen, and Cinder shoots an arrow at Amber, killing her and transferring all her powers over to Cinder. And Cinder is now the Fall Maiden. Cutting back to Adam, he stabs Blake, and Yang is like launching at him, and he was able to cut her arm with his sword. I guess Yang's aura just went on vacation. I wished. Now, I hope you're excited for this one, because according to IMDb, this one is the highest rated episode. Wow, that must mean that this episode is gonna be amazing. So I hope after everything we went through that this one is gonna pay off. So the episode begins with a fight between Cinder and Aspen, and of course, Aspen loses the fight. Wow. That must mean these maidens must be super powerful. But hold up, how come 3 random people who aren't even huntsmen were able to take down 1 maiden, but the headmaster of the huntsman school isn't? Then again, that whole scene was really stupid, so I don't know. So everyone is being evacuated, and Rwby meets up with Weiss, and she sees that her sister got wrecked and Blake is crying. I'm sorry, why do the teachers just leave Yang on the ground like this and don't call any medics or something? She should have been brought on board an airship by now at least. So Jean and Pyrrha aren't back yet, and Rwby and Weiss decide to go look for them. So we cut to Pyrrha and Jean, and they notice that Aspen lost the battle. And then Pyrrha is like, that's how we're gonna win this, Jean. Not fighting what we hate, but saving what we love. And then she forces herself onto Jean, which is kinda weird considering they were never really together throughout the show. I mean, Pyrrha might have had the hots for Jean, but Jean was interested in Weiss for like both volumes. Also, I'm sorry Pyrrha, but what the heck are you gonna do? You just saw that she was able to beat Aspen, so why do you think you'd have any chance on taking her on? Are you stupid? Need I remind you that while yes, Pyrrha is a good fighter, she's not a fully fledged huntress yet. They want me to take this moment serious and be like, oh no, Pyrrha, don't do it. When all I'm thinking is, Pyrrha, are you dumb? You're not gonna win this.
There's no time. Go. Get to Vale and call for help.
There's no time? No time for what? Just leave and get to safety. Let Jean call Glinda like Aspen ordered you to do. You know, someone who's actually more experienced than you.
Find Glinda, Ironwood, Crow. Bring them here right away.
But I guess we need some excuse to have her die in some way. Cause this is really sad, guys.
Sean! Where are you?
Weiss! Please, you have to stop her.
Jean, what the heck? Out of all the people you could have called, you called Weiss? Why didn't you call Glinda like you were going to a minute ago?
Okay, I think I have Glinda's number.
What do you expect Weiss to do? Did he know Weiss and Rwby were looking for him? This is so stupid. You cannot be serious. Yes, Jean, break your phone in anger. This is so sad. I'm totally crying, guys. This is the highest rated episode, by the way.
I have a plan. You always do.
It's funny she says that because we don't really know what that plan of her was. All they do is fight off Grimm until Weiss decides to place her glyphs on the wall so Rwby can go up. I'm sorry, why don't you go up there and help Rwby? What do you expect her to do all by herself? Can't you use your own glyphs to scale up that building as well? So Cinder makes her way on top of the tower and is like, this is your home now for some reason. Was she gonna kill it? I mean, she activated her flames, so like, was she? I'm so confused. Why did she even bother going up the tower to talk to the dragon? Why did you just leave? So Pyrrha is fighting Cinder because apparently she thinks she has any chance here. This is just so stupid. Why doesn't she just evacuate with Jean instead of fighting the woman who beat the headmaster of your school? Pyrrha starts crawling for her shield despite the fact that she can use her semblance to pull the shield towards her. So she breaks her aura and then Rwby makes her way on top of the tower. Cinder shoots an arrow and kills Pyrrha. Oh no, she's dead. This character that had like no development in volume 1 and 2 and was kind of a Mary Sue is dead, and I'm supposed to feel sad about it. But how stupid of Pyrrha to think that she can take on Cinder. Rwby makes it on top and witnesses her death. And she gets so emotional she activates her silver eyes and then passes out. I'm kinda stunned Rwby gets this emotional over Pyrrha dying. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm sure she cares about Pyrrha. off screen, but they like never interacted with each other and developed their friendship throughout the show. So why would you expect me to feel so heavily for Rwby in this scene? They never developed their friendship and never shared a scene together. The only character Pyrrha interacted with alone was Jean. Everyone else has just been in groups. So for her to get this emotional over Pyrrha's death isn't really all that believable. Crow was able to find her up there, but I guess Weiss just stood up and left for some reason. Did she not bother checking if Rwby is okay, seeing as though she was right below the tower? So Rwby wakes up in her bed and her father is like, "I'm happy you're okay, Rwby." He explains that Rwby did a number on it, but Rwby doesn't understand, and Crow comes in to talk to Rwby.
The night you met Ozpin, what was the first thing he said to you?
I think it was something about
Silver eyes. That's an extremely rare trait. You're special, Rwby. You're special the same way your mom was. You see, the creatures of Grimm were afraid of those silver-eyed warriors. They were the best of the best. It was said that even a single look from one of these fighters could strike a Grimm down.
Okay, there's so much to unpack here. So, her silver eyes, they're apparently very important and a very rare trait. The reason why Ozpin let Rwby in early was never explained, but it's theorized that the reason she was let inside Beacon was so Oz can keep a close eye on her. But here's the thing, if her silver eyes are so important, then why did Ozpin never tell Rwby about it at all? This ability that can be used to nuke Unversed sounds like a very useful ability that could save so many lives. And I can't reveal a lot about later volumes because I want to keep this whole thing as chronologically as possible. But why did Ozpin never teach Rwby how to use her silver eyes? She has been at Beacon for a whole year and she was never taught how to use them? If that's the case, then why did you let Rwby into Beacon if she still had 2 more years at Signal Academy? Wouldn't it have been better if she was well trained before going to a Huntress school? Heck, especially since Crow works at Signal Academy and was Rwby's teacher? Crow also works for Ozpin, so why did Crow never tell Ozpin about Rwby having silver eyes? And why didn't Ozpin just let Crow continue to teach her at Signal Academy so that Rwby is well prepared and also ask Crow to keep an eye on her? This is so bizarre. What reason did you have to let Rwby into Beacon if you're not gonna do anything? What's the point? You cannot be serious. So anyways, Rwby makes her way to Yang's room and Yang is not only sad about her lost arm, but reveals to Rwby that Weiss was sent back to Atlas.
Yang? Where are Weiss and Blake?
Weiss's father came for her. No one outside of Vale knows what happened here. Before the tower fell, the last thing people saw was Atlas attacking innocent people and Grimm destroying the city. Everyone's scared. No one knows who to trust. So Weiss's father came to take her back to Atlas, where he thinks it's safe.
I'm sorry? How is that possible? These are people from all over the kingdoms that came to see the tournament. They all most likely went back to their kingdoms and would most likely tell people what happened. How in the heck are the people at Vale the only ones who knew what happened? You're just pretending like these people aren't from other kingdoms. Heck, especially when the students are also from other kingdoms. How do you make such a mistake? Did they even proofread what they wrote down before even started animating? What am I talking about? Of course they didn't. This is the highest rated episode, by the way.
And Blake ran. Sun saw her go. After we got to the city, she just ran.
But why?
I don't know, and I don't care.
What the heck? Blake just ran away after Yang got her arm cut off and felt sorry? So she just ran away and abandoned Yang when she probably needed her the most? I'm sorry, but wasn't Yang the one who told you about her abandonment issues back in volume 2? Why did nice person Blake over here think it was a good idea to just run away and not tell anyone where she's even gonna go? The heck is wrong with you? So now Rwby and Team Juniper are leaving their homes and go looking for some answers. So they make their way to Haven because it's the only lead they have there. I'm assuming it's because that's where Cinder said she came from. So they make their way to Haven and then they reveal the main villain of the show. Oh no. And so, volume 3 ends. This is a disaster. Like I said at the beginning, this volume killed any chance the show could have had to redeem itself. Volume 1 and 2 introduced so many characters, barely explored any of them, and destroyed the school we knew absolutely nothing about. It crippled the whole show. How are you gonna tell me some deep, interesting story when none of your characters are developed and we know almost nothing about this world? Especially with the rules being so inconsistent and all this new stuff you just pile on top of things we also have to worry about. It was already a mistake for volume 1 and 2 to barely do anything at all and waste their time on this White Fang subplot, but now you also decided to introduce this Maiden plot, bring in a brand new villain and destroy the school? Why? Like, you expect me to care about this when Beacon is such a nothing location? What about the 4 main characters? You know, the thing the show is named after? They barely got to develop. They want to make us believe that Team Rwby have a close friendship, but aside from like a couple of scenes some of them shared, we don't know what their friendship is exactly. What is Rwby and Blake's friendship? Or Blake and Weiss? Rwby and Weiss had a whole thing where they hated each other and then all of a sudden they're friends. Blake and Yang shared a scene where Yang opened up to her about her backstory, but that's about it. How am I supposed to care about this narrative they're trying to tell if those are the characters that we have? What about Team Juniper? Ren and Nora did like absolutely nothing in the show aside from being like the comic relief. This whole thing is just a big mess. But hey, I hope Volume 4 is gonna be epic and cool. Oh, who am I kidding? It's gonna suck.